were trying to record, and then they showed like her little video with like her little cap and gown, and my camera just started, and I missed the whole video, like trying to record it because I just started crying so bad, and I was like, oh my gosh. And she was like, she and her teachers were like, well, did you cry? And I said, yes. They're like, oh, that's all Everly talked about all day. My mommy's going to get here and my mommy's going to cry. I was like, well, she's not wrong.
I think she's broke. I don't cry.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Oh, I cry. You're not.
I don't cry just at the moment. I'll cry at a different company later.
Yeah, I've never cried at any of my kids' graduations or.
Oh, really?
Like even this morning, as an elementary walking my senior, and
I cried.
There's other moms crying, and I'm like, what is wrong with you?
So.
That's
Yes,
what
that's when I did it.
Yeah.
I'll get a little cereal.
Oh, I like sob.
Okay, guys, at 10 o'clock, we are going to get started. And get together here for you. Let her
Won't be
think
long.
she wants to do today. And so can you put your mute on your computer, please? I think you just push the space bar. Okay. James Kate Roofing joined us this morning and bring us breakfast. I texted him yesterday and I said, hey, Dustin, his name's Dustin Eatman. I said, y'all are kind of busy, right? He goes, oh my gosh, it's ridiculous because of the storms.
Yeah.
So they just can't be here today. So I let them off the hook and said, hey, we'll get you guys in the fall. But I wanted to show you, they sent this over. They have a realtor special exclusive. It's called the Roof Refresh Package. And it gets your house ready for sale, full roof inspection, shingle replacement, up to 25 missing or damaged shingles. They'll do painting, caulking for $285.
Do I have to be selling my house? No, I'm serious. Can I send them over?
Well, it's get your listing ready for sale. So you could say, hey, we're getting this ready.
Change my mind.
After you did the work, it just made me want to stay here.
For a roof refresh. I have seen, 10 years ago, this was $400. So that's just an incredible price for them.
Oh, wait.
Oh, just
Are you muted? You should be muted.
shoot. Am I not? No, I'm not muted. How do I?
It might be feeding back through.
That's probably why.
Okay, so 285. Announcement. So next week we got Holland Homes coming. So everybody has to come into the office because they're going to spend a little over $500 on our breakfast.
I will not.
Hey, Angela. Angela Stevens.
Litter box. Completely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, just whatever.
Today, I know.
Sorry, Angela, got to mute you. Sorry about that. So next week, Holland Homes will be here. Ginger and a couple other people will be here. And Jimmy was supposed to be here, but he has something planned. So I will be doing wins, lessons, mistakes, and shout outs next Wednesday. And that will be our mastermind. But please come for Highland Homes. The docent portal is open and working. Jenna had put something in Slack yesterday about not knowing which one to do. There's 3 programs that you can take. You're taking the new agent training, but there's a listing training and a buyer training that are available on that website. So you have 3 classes that you can take for free. You just have to sign in and sign up, but we're paying for it. It's part of our gift to you guys. So please, if you want to use the docent. Last week I started something a little new that you probably didn't notice. I put it in the brokerage announcements, but if you don't have time to go back and watch this video, like if you're not here and you don't want to watch the whole thing, you just want to skim it, I'm putting the Gemini Cliff Notes in the brokerage announcements channel, and it literally takes everything that we say and summarizes it. So it's AI cool. So that'll be in brokerage announcements from now on.
Say AI cool. Okay.
That's the official term.
And now the AI
I mean,
is going to be.
When did you not know that was a thing?
I just, needed to add it to my dictionary.
It's AI cool. Okay. Don't forget, if you haven't downloaded Cubicasa, please, you need it. It's a super simple app. You download it, sign in through your Greater Fort Worth credentials, your license number, and you literally walk around with your phone and take pictures. You just take a video and then you submit it to Q Constant. 24 hours later, you get that. And this one right here that I pulled up is one that doesn't have the dimensions on it, but it will figure dimensions and say it's pretty close. I mean, it's within 2 or 3 inches of every room that you're filming. And it puts in all the windows. It puts in the fireplace. I mean, I always open the doors to the hall closets and then just do a little quick video like that. That way it knows where all the little intricacies of the house are. So that's,
I need a training on that.
it's literally, there's nothing to it. You literally open the app, select your address, and it says start filming. You click record, and then you start walking around, and you just walk every wall.
Show me once, and then I
Okay.
can do it.
Well, then I'll show you. If y'all want to stay after us today, I'll do that. Okay, national market update. Mortgage Bankers Association, home buyers came out in strength for the second week in a row. Purchase mortgage applications up for the week to a level 18% higher than a year ago. Buyers are taking advantage of their choices. The number of homes for sale at the highest level since 2019. Homes on the market longer, and the median price the same as last year. So it's a perfect time for buyers to be in the market. After dropping in March, housing starts rebounded a bit in April, all due to multi-unit projects. Single-family starts and building permits both declined as builders focused on completions, which have been running strong since last year. Tariffs down, stocks are up. After the U.S. and China agreed to reduce tariffs for 90 days, while they worked out a long-term deal, the S&P 500 and Dow exploded, wiping out the year's losses, while the Nasdaq gained over 7%. Wall Street fears tariff wars will boost inflation and slow the economy. But the week's data revealed those fears so far are unfounded. Latest CPI pegged inflation since the April Fed tariffs of 2.3%, the lowest level in 4 years. Grocery store prices dropped the most since 2020, including the biggest drop in egg prices since 1984, while wholesale prices fell for the month. As for economic growth, post-tariff April retail sales rose to an all-time high. We'll talk about the mortgage here in a few minutes when I show you where they went, but it did go back up. But that's what we kind of expected.
I believe. I'm calling.
Pulling a bluff.
That's a national average. My brother is actually the buyer for Kroger. He works in Cincinnati at the Kroger main office. He only deals in milk and eggs. That's the only 2 things that he does in his department. They have every Kroger store in the country, and then a 1.5 mile radius around every Kroger store. The store manager has to go to all those other stores and get milk and egg prices and submit them to my brother's team. My brother tracks those on a spreadsheet, and then Kroger adjusts their prices to be lower than everybody else. That's exactly what it is.
Specialization.
Yeah, he just does milk and eggs. I don't know, that's weird. Okay, this week's forecast: new and existing home sales, mortgage applications, and jobless claims. Analysts expect existing home sales to pick up for April, new home sales to dip. We'll keep following the MBA mortgage applications index to continue gains in buyer activity. Economists predict initial jobless claims will stay well below recession levels. Let's talk about the Federal Reserve Watch. So last week, people were betting on July. This week, we're betting on September. But y'all remember, this is just for the federal rate. This is not the mortgage rates. The mortgage rates, they're bouncing all over the place. We're going to see that in a minute. I looked last night and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it would jump like that. There it is. Went up 0.7 of a point in a week. That is up almost 0.2 in 2.5 months ago. So, but this is going to change. 6.9 should not kill it, should not scare you. The FHA is 6.4. Somebody, Patty, was talking about somebody changing from conventional FHA because it may be a better deal.
Yeah.
If the seller agrees to it,
Mhm.
which is what, did they agree?
No.
They didn't?
No.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. So, but be watching.
Why you would.
So just, these are things to keep in mind as you're out talking to your buyers. It's going to stay between 6 and 7. It's just going to be in that percentage from now on. Just get used to it. If it jumps a little bit, it's like, oh, bonus. If it goes above that, oh, well, we can refinance in a year. Okay. Business tip. Take 5. Your ideas and creativity will flow much more freely if you give yourself the pace. Jamie was talking about this last week. We were walking around the office. He was like, "Just take a break, take a nap, do something different.
Take a nap.
Take a nap."
I like that.
That sounds great.
Take
We
a-
were talking about how, because you were talking about unplugging there was a beat sound.
Yeah.
You're like, unplug it. And I was like, humans need the same thing. When you're not working, you need a factory reset or an unplug.
That was brilliant, and I did take a nap this weekend. Take a walk, go sit in the fresh air with a cup of coffee instead of sitting at your desk waiting for inspiration. Did you know that Optimal Blue reports rate locks on purchase mortgages were up 7.5% month over month in April, while both the average purchase price and average loan amount fell from the month before? I'm actually going to show you guys something that you guys all know this is here because you see it. This one, excuse me. That one. I'm going to show this down. So this is always linked on Monday night's email for the real-time data. I just want you guys to see something. So this is the percent of the year that's elapsed. Today we're at 38.46% of the year. I just keep a running tab of that. Right now we are at 45% of our volume goal. We are at 47% of our transactions goal, and we're not even all the way through May. So Jimmy and I are just really, really, really proud of you guys, of what you guys have accomplished so far this year. Keep up the good work. Keep talking to your buyers. Keep giving them the information that's in this meeting. That's what it's there for. It's what we bring this to you is to give you this information so you can be out talking to your people. I think it's so important.
Well, I have one thing on that. You know, a lot of brokerages, how they measure success is like how much volume they do. And that's cool. Like that's not how honestly, I don't even track like if Brian was like, "Hey, how much volume?" I don't know. I don't track it. I really don't care about it. I don't think about it. The second way they measure success is how much profitability they have. That's also not something I track that. It's a little bit more important to me. Obviously, we need to make money. But the measure of success for our brokerage is at the very beginning of the year, I look at every single agent's production, and I pretty much know every one of you guys what's going on in your life to some extent, and like where you go on business goals and to some extent. And I look at that, look at your production, and then I say, okay, our goal is to have every agent that wants to, right? Some agents are like, I want to take a step back, or different stuff, but every agent that wants to grow grows. And so we put a little bit of growth up to 10 to 20, 30%, depending on where you're at in your career, of growth within each agent's like goals. And so whenever I look at success, I look at how is each individual agent growing and where do they need help? And so if I'm like, hey, what's going on? How's it going? It's like we look at that. And so the measure of success is that not just 3 agents produce all those transactions. Because in a brokerage, you could go, man, we're 50% to goal in May, we're killing it, but only 3 agents are killing it, right? That doesn't mean anything to me. I could care less. We could do 300 million, and if only 3 agents did 300 million, I don't care. Like, good for those 3 agents, but that's not like a healthy. Hey, what's up, Maria? Come on. Oh yeah, but that's not a healthy brokerage. A healthy brokerage is when every single person individually is improving and making just a little bit of gains each year, each month, each season. And so just kind of like whenever I look at those numbers, I don't see like I see that and it's like, okay, cool. But whenever I go into it and I see every individual agent just still like growing from last year, especially, and some of you guys are like, oh yeah, well, you are, but yeah, but you're going to get there. That's what I'm excited about is every single individual agent is like producing, every individual closing deals. And that's what like really gets me pumped up. That means like we have a healthy brokerage. It's like that is exciting to me. And so whenever I see those numbers, I get really pumped up about that. But just kind of like I want to share with you guys, we track those numbers and it's like, that's exciting. But what's really exciting, pretty sweet. What's really exciting though, is like every individual is adding to that number. It's not just 1 or 2 people. every one of you guys is contributing. And that's really exciting.
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's some high points, things for you to be talking about with your people. This is something that maybe you don't want to talk to a lot of people about, but it's something you need to know. So more homes are for sale, but not at the right price point. New report from NAR and Realtor.com found that households earning 100K or less can afford far fewer homes today compared to before the pandemic. Duh, right? Okay. Families making $75,000 annually can afford just 21% of the, which translates to a deficit of 416,000 homes. This is nationwide. 6 years ago, the housing market was relatively balanced for middle income households. Building modestly priced homes has become more challenging as costs have increased, but zoning and other reforms could help spur development. Question, can we build our way out of the problem? Building a modestly priced home is no simple task these days, according to Ms. Evangelou, Director of Real Estate Research at NAR, making it more difficult for the country to solve the affordability crisis. It's not that builders don't want to build more affordable homes, it's that they often can't make the math work. Between rising land costs, zoning rules, price of materials, it's hard to build a home under $255 today. There just aren't enough homes in the price range that most people can afford. During an economic downturn, builders often pull back even more, and that could actually worsen the housing supply shortage. What to do about it? To achieve greater balance, governments, developers, and communities must take a multifaceted approach, the report concluded. That includes coming up with a targeted plan that focuses on adding affordable homes where demand is strongest and the gaps are the greatest, while also reforming zoning regulations to spur development and expanding vocational training programs to increase the construction industry's labor pool. Another tactic, reduce the square footage.
Yeah, that's thinking.
If the promising trend of building smaller homes continues, that could be a meaningful step toward easing the housing affordability gap for more buyers. If you guys have been paying attention, no more McMansions. If you guys have been paying attention at all, builders have been doing this. They're building smaller floor plans, which makes sense because that's what people can afford.
Well, and flipping older neighborhoods.
Absolutely. So this will be in the slides for you guys today. But how many listings are within reach now, a year ago, pre-pandemic, and in a balanced market? It's just a thing that NAR put out that I thought was interesting to be looking at. But it's something that we should be talking to people that are right there on the bottom tier, not the bottom tier, but the, under the 250 range people. I've got 3 buyers that want to buy a house, but they're priced out. So maybe we go and look at new construction and we look at the builder giving some incentives, and maybe you buy a 1,400 square foot home right now. And then a couple of years from now, after you get some equity and house prices go up, maybe we can move you up into something that you want to be in. But at least there might be something there for us to buy.
I'm finding that a lot of buyers are just so unrealistic right now. Like they want the big house because they already have 2 kids or they are pregnant again and all the things. And I'm like, kids can share rooms.
Yeah.
We all did.
Yeah. I think we've gotten very unrealistic about what our kids need.
Yes, for sure.
I'll be the first one to say. What you think you need versus what you need. Yeah, because we used to share rooms, and that's one of my things that drives me crazy about some of my clients. They're like, well, all of my kids need their own bathroom, and I'm like, no, they don't.
Oh my God.
They need to fight over the sink. Like we do.
Wow. Okay.
They're lucky they have 2 sinks.
But you remember, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I'm like,
she doesn't need her own sink. Yeah, oh yeah.
All right.
vanity.
Well, we're going to move on. It is
Here's my face.
10:20. I told you it'd be right around 10:20 when we got here. So, yes, Angela, property taxes have not been mentioned yet either. That's true. That we weren't talking about that. We're just mainly talking about the house prices at this point.
I'm about the bratty kids.
Huh?
The bratty kids. I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
Mine are spoiled about that.
So I'm gonna stop sharing right now. Stop sharing that, and I'm gonna let Victoria take over, and she's going to share her screen. So go right ahead. And
I'll do that. You're gonna laugh at me. I'm totally not technologically.
Okay, well,
savvy.
open this, make it big. I'll go to the window, and then.
Oh, for that.
Mhm. And then pick a Rechat, put top one up there,
Yeah.
and you're good to go.
Okay, cool. All right.
Outstanding.
Everyone here? Oh, this turned off.
Yeah, you should be coming through the.
Oh, through that
phone
one. Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys a little bit about Rechat. Just the teacher needs to come out. Everyone knows how to set up a transaction, right? We all know we can set up a transaction. We know how to get it set up in Rechat. If you don't, then I can help you on the flip side of this. But I assume everybody knows how to get to this point, right? Okay, cool. So basically what I did here, this is just my own property. I used my address. I went ahead and popped in I did it as a listing versus a buyer, because if you do it as a listing, then I can show you essentially the same thing as if you had a buyer. So a listing, one caveat here, everybody knows that it's going to auto-populate these checklists for you. We have some stuff that is clearly marked required. There's, exceptions to everything. If something happens, we can go through that. But everybody knows that it'll populate the checklist for you. So on a listing, you guys, let me ask you this. Is everybody comfortable preparing the digital form and sending for signing via Rechat? I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I don't want to speak for anybody. But I think that part is relatively easy and relatively intuitive with Rechat. Let's see if I can get this out of the way. So I think everybody's good there. And just stop me if you're like, hey, no, actually, I'm really not good there, and then I can show you. But one thing I want to notice or point out to you guys, normally when you send a digital form through Rechat, there is going to be a pop-up that's going to say notify office. Has everybody seen that when you do that? One thing that I have noticed, sometimes it happens, especially in, let's say you're preparing a contract, an offer for a buyer, and you send it, it still automatically will ask you like, hey, do you want to notify office? And sometimes what happens, which is, I think it's a little bit of a quirk in Rechat, but it is what it is. What will happen is sometimes people will forget. They'll be like, oh, I see office notified, but they forget that it's the document that was only signed by one party, if that makes sense. So that's a quirk there, because it still wants you, to me, I would think, why would you want to notify Rechat on something that's only signed by one
Well, and you
party?
have to fill in like the particulars, when is that completed and when, so, yeah.
Yes, and I'm going to get, because some people don't know how to do that
Can you-
part either.
Unnotified?
Yes.
So so mine's gonna look just a tad different from you, because I have admin capabilities. So for example, like here, like I would say notify office to
Right.
review, and then you'll see that you're gonna have to input all of this information in order to. On your end, if you
Yeah, let me
click
see.
that little drop down, tell me, do you see something that
I
says
think you can.
cancel notify?
Okay, yes.
So yes,
So
if you
you
need to
can, okay.
unnotify, you can totally unnotify. And for my process, if there is no notification there, if it does not say, let me just put in some quick little details here. Let me go back. Sorry, hold on 1 second here. I'm going to backtrack for a second. So we know how to set up a transaction. We know how to let it populate its checklist, and we know how to send stuff for signing, right? Everybody's comfortable with that. Now on the listing, I think where some people maybe forget or just don't see it, or maybe you just don't know, and that's okay. Up here, it says add offer. So anytime you have a listing, because what I'll see sometimes is people will have their listing, and then down here, they're just adding basically folders or tasks. Well, what you can do here is, like, let's say you've accepted an offer. You want to go in and click add offer, and then it's going to give you some prompts, okay? And so you'll just, I'm going to go ahead and say I represent both sides just for kids. And then what's going to allow you, you're going to hit this. I'm going to enter all of these prompts, and then I'm going to show you what's going to end up happening is it's going to auto-populate the next checklist for you under contract or offer. I can't remember exactly which one we named it. But now you'll see that it populates this whole offer checklist. So before we didn't see that. So I know that that was something, now you'll notice that the add offer is gone. Does everybody understand hopefully that part?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know I'm guilty of this.
Oh, no, it's okay.
And I got better at it.
No, you're not.
But is there a way, so to do like, if you have, like, you have an offer and then let's say that offer goes
Falls
away,
through.
to add another offer and stay within the same address?
I have that on my list that we need to talk to Rechat about. Because was it you or somebody else? They were like, hey, well, that terminated. Right. And so it's, I need to get with Rechat, or we need to get with Rechat to ask them, how is it so that they don't have to go and basically, because you guys have, I think someone marked it as contract terminated,
So
right?
what I did was I just made each folder like fir tree offer,
Yeah.
whatever.
That's,
pony-
and I
right.
think that's the way to do it is
Yeah.
say like your listing is Pine and then you've got Smith Hill,
Yes.
and
Right.
then you can just kind of
That's what I
terminate
did.
that offer, but keep all of your documents. in
Right.
the
So that's what we'll have to look into with Rechat is how to actually terminate, like if, like she said, let's say I got an offer and it fell through an option. How do we terminate that without terminating this entire deal so that they don't lose everything or have to go and like, download everything and then
I just put the terminations in each folder because I had 3 for my own investor. She had like 2 or 3 for her client. And I just put the termination and release of earnest money in each of the folders
Sure.
for that.
Yeah.
And then I just kept on going.
Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
do that, but I feel like their Rechat might have an option for us to make it cleaner so that everybody, because I think one time on somebody's, they left the termination as office notified, and I'm like, so did
Yeah,
it
it was,
terminate or did we? I think it might have been yours.
It was
no big
the,
deal.
Bankhead.
But yeah, and so then what that does for on my end is I'm having either, obviously I usually just will go straight to you and be like, hey, tell me, did the deal terminate or like, what do I need to do here? Just so
many
just so that, there's no confusion. And I usually don't make any assumptions about your files for the most part. Like if I see a document that says termination, there's no way I'm going to be like, oh, it's terminated, I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to ask you before I like do anything so that I, A, don't mess anything up, or B, like if it is terminated, that I don't go and use that time of reviewing something that.
Yeah, though I guess the way that I use this, and maybe it's incorrect, is this, and probably Brian, you said, I use Dotloop, so I bring my uploads in.
Oh.
So, but I haven't been using this until like it's time for CDA,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
Because it doesn't make sense to upload an offer that may fall out in auction.
Sure.
But it would be nice if we could have it all in one place for compliance,
for sure.
for anything that may pop up in the future, that everything's in one
No, I
area.
agree.
So Dotloop, and Dotloop's the same. You have to literally you terminate that file, you copy documents, you make a new loop.
Oh, geez.
That's all you do. So I just
Okay.
select everything, move it over to a new loop, which is aggravating because
Yeah.
it's time consuming.
Sure.
So it would be nice if there was a way to do that.
And I bet there is, but we just need to ask. I mean, maybe. And if not, like I said, if you've never chatted with Rechat, they really respond to angry emojis. And if you give them angry emojis, they will usually give you what you want.
Oh.
I just learned that by literally doing that.
Do an angry.
Yeah, I just put an angry emoji, and then before you know it, they will usually respond to you. They're like, oh, we fixed it. Oh, thank you. So words of the wise there. But that would be my first kind of little thing, is just being sure that you add the offer on a listing. And then as you can see, you're going to get your next checklist populated and things like that. Moving on from that, does everybody, has anybody used this feature right here where you can email the documents to yourself?
Yeah.
So let's say in your email, they forwarded you over the executed contract. You can take this is an email specifically for this particular transaction, and you can forward over all the executed documents and they will populate right here for you. So let me see if I can.
That's a good feature. I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then you can go in and
So
like
you just
split them
copy
all
that
out.
and put it and forward.
Yeah, so for
Oh.
example, I'm gonna see if I can.
I was gonna say, I have one
Wow.
really pulled up that's already been forwarded.
Yeah, so here, like, I'm gonna forward these to that email address. So this
We
is.
can see what you're doing.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. Okay, what
You gotta
do I
share
do?
that tab.
I have to share. See, I'm not that.
Share this tab.
Oh, share this tab instead. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm back in my email, okay? And I'm gonna input that special email address that Rechat auto-populates for your transaction. And you can see that I've got 3 documents that are signed here. And so I'm gonna email them to myself. And I will say sometimes the email with Rechat, and I'm just being honest, it can be a little laggy. So it might not be instantaneous, like, hey, I just emailed it, so let's find out what happens.
I have found out too, when
Yes.
you're emailing straight from Rechat,
Yes,
sometimes a lot of times it goes to junk.
does
Yeah.
it? Okay.
And because a lot of agents are like, I didn't get it. And I'm like, well, it's sent like 3 times. So I have to download everything, upload it to my email, and then send it that way.
Interesting. Okay.
So go to your Rechat.
Yes, Rechat. And then share the
Share
chat.
that tab. And then see if those docs came in.
Yeah, let's see if the docs came through.
may not have come through yet. Yeah, it's gonna take a minute. I'm not gonna lie. It does take a minute. It is not, I would love for it to be almost nearly instantaneous, but it doesn't. But needless to say, what's gonna end up happening at some point, hopefully in the next few minutes. Oh, perfect. So you'll see all those documents that were in, that I had over here from this. I didn't have to like manually download them to my computer and then go back and upload them. I used this auto email that it populates for my file, and then all of my documents are here.
Oh, wow.
So now what I can do, and I
Wow.
like this little feature. Honestly, I use it a lot, especially like when I TC for people. Now you can take this, and let's say this was maybe the agent on the receipt on the other end of the deal sent you everything in one big file. Okay. What you can do is you can actually, right here, you can split your PDF. In this case, I only have one document, so there's not much for me, but it would populate everything in that PDF. And then you can dictate, hey, at pages 1, like for example, I'm just going to do 1 just so you can get an idea. I'm going to add that page over here. And you can click where it says automatically notify office. So if you're like, hey, this is a fully signed document, I am ready for it to be looked at when the time comes, you can leave that check or you can uncheck it. It's totally up to you. And then you're just going to click your folder where you need this to go. And sometimes, obviously, it's a long list, but you can.
Holly, is this where you create your folder? You name it your
No,
client?
it's at the main
I'll show you.
screen,
Okay.
it says add, and then I'll give you options. Yeah.
Okay.
But you can use this, so like, as you saw just a second ago, and I'm just trying to show you guys things that will hopefully make your life easier. Like right now, I don't want to scroll looking for wire fraud, but you can see that my cursor is right here. So if I just start typing wire, it'll pull up that particular folder, task, whatever you want to call
I
it.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
That's sit there and scroll forever.
Scroll and scroll and scroll and then.
And
Look and, oh, but I miss it.
yes, and so then you can either save, like, hey, obviously in this particular case, I'm gonna say save and quit. But if you did save and create another, let's say you had 10 pages that needed to be split, you can continue to do this process until your entire PDF is split into every folder that you need it to be split. So I would hit save and quit here.
Does it still keep it down at the bottom?
I think it
No, it takes it away.
it does.
It's gonna be gone,
Okay.
yes.
Oh.
I thought it
did.
did. There's some
No,
pictures.
it does leave it
Yeah,
unorganized
okay.
files.
It does, but it moves the split version.
Yes,
the
it
split
does,
version.
but it leaves the original up
Right there.
All down there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the same with the add feature right there. Like, if you add it there and then go to put it in the right folder,
Mhm.
it also, I feel like it moves it down.
I know unorganized files
Unorganized is the
does.
only one I think
Yeah,
that
unorganized
keeps,
files does.
but not when you add it.
If you go up here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It will put it up there, but if you upload it in unorganized files or whatever it is, then it'll keep it down.
Got it.
Yes, so
Yes.
you'll still have like a running tally down here of everything that you've put in. And you can, like, let's say you don't like, this is just HTML, which is obviously nothing. You can delete. So if you're like, oh, actually, I uploaded the wrong page to it, I don't need it. So you do have the ability to delete here. And now if I go back up here, it should automatically, it should show that. And then you'll want to click, I didn't click notify office to review, but you'll click again, notify office to review, which will kind of bring me into my next point.
Hang on a second,
Yeah.
Angela has a question.
Oh, yes.
Angela, you can turn your mic on and you can.
Oh, actually, she's about to discuss it. Really, Victoria, I'm very much interested in best practice. Like, what would you recommend that will help your workflow better? Because regardless, we're doing the work on our end. So, if you don't mind, I know you're offering options and it's for me anyways, when you tell me whatever you want to do, I'm going to do whatever I think I need to do. So I'm more interested in the best practice and what you recommend. So that way we can make this flow a lot more cohesive and efficient. So for example, and you're about to discuss it, actually, notify office for review. What does that actually do as far as compliance is concerned? That's the first question. And then you also mentioned that it is a prompt, right? Every time we load a document, would you like to notify the office? So tell me or tell us what it does if we say not right now, or what it'll do if you say yes. And then what does that do for your workflow?
Okay, that's a good question. So it's actually, how our process works is what's going to be a trigger for me is that CDA request. So like you can click notify office all day, every day, as long as you want. Personally for me, and I'll show you why, just so you have an idea of, and it's a little bit of a quirk, but I'll show you why notify office doesn't do anything for me at the moment, unless there's a CDA request that's clicked to notify office. That's because Rechat will not give admin notifications. Okay, so I don't get any notifications. I had to actually, Brian and I had to push for them to give us the notifications for CDAs, because otherwise, and I'll just show you just for kicks, my dashboard's going to look a little bit different than yours, but I'll see everything. As you can see, this number 87, there's 87 transactions in here. You can see that there's these red dots. Well, I have no idea in a sense, like I don't know what is happening on this one. I know she's got three documents for review. Maybe it fell apart and she just didn't update it and she left it there. Maybe she's still in the middle of negotiating. Maybe, they're just starting. So there's a lot of different things that I personally, and I don't know exactly, because I don't know what's going on in every transaction. So what we use for a trigger for us to say, hey, okay, Clarissa, Angela, they're ready for their file to be reviewed, is this tab over here. So this tab, basically what it does is it tells me that somebody has come in and they have clicked, and I'll just show you on this, they have clicked the notify office for CDA. That tells us on our end, hey, this person is ready to close. They need to be sure that their file is compliant so that they can get a CDA. Does that kind of answer your question a little bit, Angela?
Yes, actually it does. So really, clicking that box doesn't really do anything for your workflow, right? And it doesn't really do anything for us either.
Correct. Yes. Unfortunately, and it doesn't bother. Like I said, I'm not really going to touch it because I don't ever want to take the liberty of assuming something in your file. And at the same token, I am just a one-man show. So for me to like go through 50 agents and say, hey, Danielle, you've got 2 documents for 123 Main Street. What do you want me to do with those? Clarissa, you have XYZ Alpha Street. You have 3 documents. What do you want? Like, I think I spend basically all day navigating what's going on.
The way that I use notify office, or what does it say?
Notify office. Or needs attention. Well,
the
prompt is notify office. And then it populates, notify
office to review. So the way that I use that function in Rechat is that I think I'm done with that document. So I have checked it for compliance, notify office to review. She doesn't get anything. That's fine. I don't care if she does. But that way I can see it along my right-hand side of that transaction that it's ready for Victoria to review. That makes sense?
But she only needs to review the CDA.
No, she goes back and checks all the documents as well.
All compliance documents.
Okay.
All compliance documents, but at this point, because we haven't sent the CPA yet, but you can see the wire fraud warning is there. When it says needs attention, I don't think they see needs attention.
No, it says office notified.
It says
Office notified.
Okay.
On the admin side, both of ours say needs attention. So if it says office notified, then you know that document should be done.
The needs attention on your side means you haven't reviewed.
I haven't reviewed it. So that's telling me, but again, I'm not going to review it unless there is a CDA request.
So when we ask Rechat, because I think we've all kind of gone through this, we have to have a way to delete documents, because what if I have to have like 5 different forms and they're not ready to be, and I'm like, you have to figure out, I mean, it should be the top one.
It should be, but they're not, that's not even that.
No.
On Rechat.
So can we like do all the bad emojis, mean emojis?
We can try.
And just say, is there a way for us to delete the ones that don't apply?
And let me tell you, I found one workaround, but nobody's going to like it. And I don't blame you, because I wouldn't like it either. The only workaround that you can do, so let's say that you had, back and forth. Let's say you went through 4 different iterations of a contract. Okay. Now, would you be able to go in and delete the one? So if it is signed and sent through Rechat, they do not allow you to delete a document that was signed and sent through Rechat. Now, if you directly uploaded it to Rechat, you can delete it. However, let's say you like working in Rechat and you like going back and forth and you use all the different iterations of it. Here's the kicker. You could just delete the entire folder.
Can't we how about just archive it? Like a dotloop doesn't, the same thing in dotloop. So you can archive.
You can't do that.
Oh,
Unfortunately, it's not
That emoji.
Yes.
There are some things, and we have asked, and Rechat's explanation on why we can't delete documents is because apparently in other states that they offer their services, you are not allowed. Like, I guess they have to keep everything.
It's a paper trail.
Yeah.
It's a paper trail.
Maybe
So,
we can request an archive.
Yeah,
We could.
Yeah, an archive license.
Yeah.
yeah, then they get to keep it for compliance in all states, and we get to get it out of our folder and give
Yeah.
it.
Can we put a review on
yeah,
that?
Well, technically,
That'd be cool.
we should also be keeping
Yeah.
free.
Well, yeah.
But just
But
for
the way I
resolution,
do
yeah.
it is I keep everything in my Google Drive. And then if a contract terminates, I put it in, Smith terminated,
Yeah,
and that's all there. And then, the one that I know is good to go is what's.
I just think that would make your job way easier,
yeah.
not
That's
having to
what
hunt and
that's what I'm
peck.
thinking too.
Yeah.
yeah.
I have to go to a meeting, but I wanted to talk to everybody just about, your role. I'm sorry, I'm totally just interrupting here. So I'm interrupting the flow. I get it. So one thing, I talked to a bunch of you guys, and so me and Victoria met. And so one thing that we're changing about Victoria's role, so a little bit of history lesson. Victoria was asked to do a role by Tanner, how many years ago?
Well, actually by you and Jamie in
Well, me and
2017.
Jamie, but then Tanner took over.
Oh, yeah, Tanner took
and-
over, and so then they took on a little bit of like admin work,
Yeah,
and then it's just kind of ebbed and flowed, so I kind of like have like a lot of different
yeah, and
roles.
Victoria's been given a lot of different directions. A lot of her role has changed like 52 times. And so, but one thing that we were noticing was specifically with the admin role, and then just, it was admin slash like, just all the CDA reviews and stuff like that, is we were lacking that customer experience component to it, not because of Victoria not like caring or anything. It was because she was told like, I want you to do this and this only, this is, and very specific. And so one thing that we were noticing, and just after talking to some of you guys, it's kind of like a customer experience role within this role. And so what I mean by that is literally this training right now that's happening allows you to kind of see what Victoria's going through, but also her to teach you like how to do this better, make it easier, make the closing process easier, hopefully, and then having access to Victoria. So basically, like Victoria's role was like, hey, make sure we don't get sued, and now kind of what we're trying to morph it into is more of a make sure we don't get sued, sure, but also if the document's not correct, hey, let's pay to the brokerage is going to pay Victoria to help out or assist with those types of things. Help you possibly troubleshoot. Obviously, she didn't have, a million hours of time of the day, but we wanted to make it a little bit more customer friendly, so to speak, for you guys and give more access. So what that's going to specifically look like is Victoria is going to start coming to some of these meetings in person and virtually. This summer is a little spotty because of it's summer, but starting in the fall for sure, coming in to these meetings just so she can always just be here to answer questions before and after the meeting, or even have a section within the meeting to help out with these types of things. Like literally, we're going to request an archive section. Like these are the type of things that you guys really need. You're like, man, I really want this, and you need it like in that moment, but then you forget about it next month, and then you need it again. You're frustrated, and so basically, we're just trying to blend and create more access and communication between Victoria's role and just to help you guys' job move a lot smoother. So I just wanted to heard you guys. We're trying to work on that, and so if you have any just advice or feedback as we're kind of transitioning to that, please let us know. But yeah, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that's good. I mean, I'm not just for clarity, I'm not necessarily, they're not paying me to be your personal transaction coordinator or anything like that. So it's not like, hey, can you reach out to the seller's agent? Or it's more so just like, hey, I can't get this document. Can you, help me? Or can I, can I just email it to you? Does it matter? Does it have to go through the chain of command here? Like, no, hey, if it's just not going to work and you can't figure it out at that moment and you just need to get something in, you can drop it. You can even drop it in Slack. Slack has that functionality too. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
because I know
it's not transaction coordinating.
Right,
No, it's CDA and then admin and then Rechat.
Yeah, the compliance stuff. Yeah.
Compliance, yeah.
And I know that we talked to Brian about that. Sorry, I know you have to go.
Yeah, but just any questions for me about that, but again, it's kind of a work in progress. We're just trying to add, like, how can we make your jobs and lives easier with this closing compliance process? How do we make this easier on you? How can we be more accessible and available to like help you guys out? And so that's really the goal. That's the whole aim of it.
And I know you guys always get the one reminders from me via email, via Slack, and I'm going to, assuming that it's in on time and I have time to give you a second reminder, if that makes sense, to try to give you another reminder of like, hey, I'm still missing X, Y, and Z, because sometimes it'll be like, there was 3 documents missing, one came through, and then I'm sitting there checking while the other one hasn't, and I know you guys are busy too, so I'm kind of working it into my workflow to give you another reminder if I don't have everything. Now, if you give this to me 2 days before, there's a good chance I can't give you a second reminder if we're trying to get everything, closed on time. But if we're within that 5 to 7 days, you should be able, if needed, to get a second reminder if it's like, hey, we're still missing this, to get a follow-up to kind of help you guys out.
But it's, yeah, I mean, it's like one of those deals where it's like, oh, I didn't get something in, or you're missing a document. I want to, me and Brian and Victoria now, we'll take the call. We will help you walk through it. We'll help you explain what is missing, what is going on, how do we fix it, how do we train to make sure we, you can do this faster, better, easier next time. And so really, it's just trying to make ourselves a little more available to just help, teach, and just make everything just a little bit more smoother, just make your lives easier. So that's really the goal. That's the heart behind it. So yeah, we're gonna see. Yeah, just give us feedback. It's real time. So we're gonna slowly do that. So yeah.
Keep going. There was a question. Angela had a question.
All right, I'll let y'all keep rolling. Sorry to interrupt. I wanted to say that from the owner's perspective.
Regarding improving customer service experience, it helped me determine if there's a questionnaire for the guy categorized.
What I'm trying to say, Brian, is it sounds like to me that, Victoria's role really is a transaction coordinator for the agency. And then Jimmy mentioned that, she's available for certain things. So in order for us to really determine ahead of time what that would be, maybe admins or leadership can determine what those categories are. So before I reach out to Victoria, say,
it's really just compliance. Yeah. I mean, there's really not Victoria, if you needed help understanding a file, obviously you guys would reach out on Slack, the guides channel. That's the best place to start everything, every conversation. You can text me, but I may be busy. I may be out showing. You could Slack Victoria, and she may be busy with her child or doing something else. So honestly, the best place is just the guides channel. Ask the question. One of us will see it. We're all our subject matter experts, Jimmy, me, Victoria, Jamie, we're all monitoring that channel daily, all day long. I get notifications on my phone. So to what you're saying, Angela, she's not going to be doing more than what she does right now. It's just that she has the ability to help, which she always has had anyway. We're just verbally saying that. Basically. Is that good?
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Yes.
I know we have blown him up about this. You've never been in the meeting, Eric. And I know a lot of us feel this way about compliance. Can we ask Rechat, and I don't know how that works with you and your flow, but for listing docs or buyer rep docs, we're all used to having them reviewed on the front end because we don't want to wait till 30 days later and then we're like, oh, that document was signed a month ago and now to go fix it because something's not compliant. Is there a way for us to separate them at the beginning for listing and buyer rep docs for compliance, and then on the back end have the rest of the documents? Because honestly, the rest of us, and I know that a lot of us have felt this way, and I know Rechat doesn't allow for it because you don't get notified until CD. Right. So I don't know if we can ask them, say, just for compliance reasons.
We did.
We did. Okay. And they said no.
Hey, so if a CDA triggers the notification to you, why can't we make a CDA for a listing or a buyer document, like a CDA that triggers it? That says my listing document's ready. I have a fake CDA.
Well, that's exactly what we did. We asked her, can you give us another tab that basically would say, just like I have, so that CDA request tab that you see, guys, we had to ask and push for that. That was not something that is naturally done within the system. We had to ask, we had to request it. They did. Brian, we had that email where we asked them again. We were like, hey, there are certain people, that want these documents reviewed,
Yeah.
up front. And they basically essentially told us, no, there's nothing we can do. We don't do any customization tabs.
So let me ask you a question, because I do fill out my CDA pretty quick,
Mhm.
and it may not be all the correct information. I sometimes forget to go put the sales page. But you know, like, but I do it to where I will go ahead and notify the office, like I'll fill it out like it's ready. And do you, I mean,
I do see it.
Yeah.
And so let me just give you guys like just a little bit of a facts or just a little bit of history so you understand. So what I try to do is, obviously, again, I'm just one person, and I promise you guys, like, I am checking, I am reviewing multiple times a day. Obviously, I have a child, so to some extent, like, I try not to sit on my computer all day, every day while if she is home with me. But what I do is, what will happen is you might be so good and you're so on top of it, but then, you know, Joe Schmo is like, oh, forgot my CDA, and I close in 2 days. Well, what's going to happen is yours is a month ahead. So I'm going to say, okay, well, let me go ahead and get Joe Schmo taken care of because, you know, he's closing sooner than Holly. And so then that's
That's me.
kind of,
there you go.
As Joe said, it's me.
So
I also.
it's kind of one of those where it ebbs and flows. Like, you know, I'm pretty caught up. Like I'm getting into June now. Like everything that I already see for June is about to be looked at this week and early next week. So it's kind of one of those where I have to manage to a certain extent. Hey, Joe Schmo, even though he didn't necessarily follow our procedures, part of this customer service experience is, hey, we're going to try to do our best to make it happen for you so that you get paid on time.
But that's
And
kind of
that's
like, rewarding bad behavior.
Oh, yeah,
Right. That's rewarding bad behavior.
Understandable and I feel like it should be understandable to agents. Because it's just like when you call the underwriter and you're like, where's my phone? It's like, well, you're 10 down the line, buddy. Like, I know we want it, but I feel like that's just that grace should be extended up pretty much upon the entire industry.
Not to question how you do your job at all, but I was just thinking, can you go back to the tab where it shows all of the transactions? Because I think just to piggyback on what Holly is saying, it's because I'm like attention to detail and code and compliance. That's just the way I operate. So for me, like, if I get my listing paperwork in when I take the listing and I'm notifying the office, you know, I upload all my listing paperwork, notify office, like, would there not necessarily be a way for you to go through all that and be like, okay, well, these are listings. All this listing paperwork is in, and I've got notify office, listing paperwork, IABS, wire fraud, all those things are in, so you could then approve those at that stage.
Sure. Well, so the only problem is I'd have to,
Yeah, you don't have
adds-
you don't have a trigger.
I don't have a trigger, so I would just be
That's
looking.
why I was saying, like, is
So-
there a way to go through all those and filter them just by listings?
But also then she would be having to check all 57
Yeah.
of these twice,
Uh-huh.
at least, because then you're talking about also how many times does a transaction fall out? How many times does a transaction turn, like.
It's a catch-22. It's just because it's like, you've got like, I understand where you guys are coming from, and I'm like I'm a dot your I, cross your T's type of person. So I totally get that. But it would be, like I said, there's no way for anything to really happen here unless, the only thing I could tell you guys, Rechat, like I said, they're not going to give us anything. If you were like, hey, will you just put a second set of eyes on it and, make sure that I did it right, happy to do so. We aren't going back and checking that, okay, well, you put in a listing agreement, you said that it was going to start May 21st at 300,000. Nobody's going back and even cross-checking that to make sure that it was input into the MLS correctly. Really, all I'm looking at is like, are there initials on 11 pages of the listing agreement? That's essentially all I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I'm not
Correct. Yeah.
and so in our, and Brian, you might want to speak to this a little bit, and the way that we've kind of worked on our compliance side is if an initial is missing or something didn't get checked on the listing agreement, we are comfortable with, getting those initials after the fact or, striking something on the listing agreement and having all parties initial after the fact. Like that is okay from our code and compliance side for us at least. But right now, as it stands, Rechat does not have any functionality for us to get any sort of customization of where, okay, because some people, like you guys want it, they won't give us that. and we don't know how else to convey. I mean, we can
Well,
try angry emojis.
we've talked about it. I mean, at length, it's still in my inbox
Yes.
about what do we do about this? Because we know that y'all want somebody to check your stuff.
Yeah.
But not every house we list goes through.
Yeah.
And we're, like she said, we're not, there's no way for us to check and say, Holly, your listing paperwork said it went on the market May the 3rd, but you didn't put it on the market till May the 6th. That's not compliant.
Yeah.
So we're not doing anything except checking to make sure you've got initials on something. That's literally all we're doing. And that you've got the listing paperwork that's in Rechat. So my standard operating procedure, my SOP, is I take a listing and I put the listing paperwork in Rechat. And I notify office. And I leave it there. She's not gonna see it. When I get an offer, I have an offer.
Right.
Okay? After option.
Yeah, that's the way you told me how to do it, is after option. Don't even bother using the people after.
Why even put it in there during the option period? Because they may back out. They may back out during the pending period too. But
Yeah.
it's harder. But that's the only way that we can do it, please.
So what I was gonna say is I think you're talking about something a little bit more in depth than what I'm about to ask. But let's say for Danielle, who is about doing things on time, I'm gonna implement a new system for myself that says every time I take a listing, I'm putting all of the documentation in, I'm notifying office. Can you partially approve a transaction?
That's what you're
saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no way.
So there's no way to go in and approve it on the back end,
Right.
everything.
Well, I mean, I'd have to, the thing is like, I've got to have a trigger.
So what I was gonna say is, can I come in and Slack you and say, hey, Victoria, listing documentation is up for this. When you have time, can you partially approve this?
I would prefer that you let me do that.
Okay,
If you want me to look over your listing documents, I'll be happy to do that because I don't want to put that on her. I'm sitting at the computer. You guys know if I'm not showing houses, I'm probably at a computer somewhere. So if you want to Slack me and say, hey, would you take a look at my listing paperwork on 123 Main Street? Happily.
Are you wanting him to look at it to make sure your paperwork is done right, or that it's just loaded and all the initials are there and?
yeah, that, like, if I'm just trying to make sure that at the back end, I'm not having to
Rush.
because there's, me, I mean, we've worked together now for how long?
Sure.
I always miss a checkbox. I always miss an initial. I can't do it all.
It is nice to have it put right in front of it.
Right.
And like the sellers to be like, well, I didn't sign that.
Or
I mean, something
it's
could
just
always
like-
happen.
There's always more to be signed. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, like, is there a way to get in front of that? So that this way I'm not having to go back and be like, oh, hey, actually, remember this document you signed 3 months ago? Something didn't get checked. It just, you know what I mean? Like, it just seems a
I don't
little,
know, because I feel like I always prompt my clients because I'm
of
like,
course,
I'm like
but
you, and I'm like kind of before that 7-day mark, and I know I need to get everything in. I'm like, hey, we're fixing to review all documents for compliance. If we need to cross a T or dot an I, we'll send something back out. If you need explanation, whatever, of course, call me because I know myself.
I think
Dot
too,
what? Dot what?
Dotted.
I think like for me, I'm
That's
like
what
at
I'm
the
talking
back end, I just sit
That's
down
how
and I end
she
up
does it.
scrambling, trying to make sure
Sure.
everything is done. And then you're scrambling because you've got how many closings every week?
Sure.
And I don't get the email from Rechat half the time.
Right.
And so I just didn't know if you could, if I messaged you personally, was like, hey, when you're in, if you can, is there anything missing? If it's a no.
Yes,
then
how
no.
about we all message Rechat and give them angry emojis and say, we want this.
We have 2 hands up on the line. I'm gonna let Ashley Gorowski go first. Ashley, go ahead. You are muted, Ashley. There you go.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I was going to say that's exactly what I do. I tell my folks ahead of time, especially with listings, that, we have a compliance partner that we work with that's in office that will check over everything closer to closing. So there is a chance that, we may have to go back and, initial something or make a small change that's nobody really gives me any crap about it. But also, like, sometimes Angela and I will team up, like she's asked me, hey, does everything look good on this? She'll email it to me and I'll take a look at her stuff and say, yeah, everything looks good. I mean, sometimes that's an easier way if you buddy up with someone that's maybe been in the business a little bit longer.
Thank you, Ashley. Ashley, go ahead.
Well, it was mentioned, I think, we all load documents differently. Some of us start at, in the MLS, the transaction desk. Well, I initiate all my documents out of Rechat. Is that best practice? Because, once it's signed, it files itself onto the right folder. So I figured for myself that would be easiest.
It's completely however you do
It's
it.
really how you prefer it. I will say, I mean, I know we've knocked on Rechat a little bit, but intuitively for signing documents, I have never had any issues. Like, I like it. It puts it back, just like Angela said, where it needs to be. It puts it back in the folder. So for Rechat in its very basic form of sending documents for signing and filling out documents, I have no qualms about it in that regard. Now, are there other quirks? Sure. But in that particular functionality of it, it's pretty spot on. I don't really have any issues using it for signing and putting it back where it needs to be.
But for you, you don't care if somebody does DocuSign through Rechat, or like me, old school, I still use Instanet and
I have it is literally no preference for me. However you want to get your documents signed, I just want you guys to know it is there. If you were like, hey, I think I'd like to stay in one system, it is good.
I like that part.
But yeah, no, if you want to upload and do it, yeah, I don't, whatever.
We don't care.
We don't care. I just want to see it, obviously, just at the end, just to review, but however you want.
We'll go back to contract reviewing, listing reviewing. If y'all want that done, I'm the only person that has the admin access to do it. I don't want Victoria doing it. I don't think that that's fair to her because she's already checking documents at the end. I don't want to ask her to do it twice.
I just think Rechat needs to figure
Well,
out.
but they don't have a way to do it without somebody reviewing.
Somebody has to review it either way.
We have to review it either way. Victoria has told me, hey, I wouldn't mind doing that because I'm going to do it at the end anyway.
And it would be less on the end as well.
I'd
for
love
her.
to run through Rechat and count the number of listings that are in there that got canceled, terminated, didn't go through, whatever. That's just extra work that we're putting on her that I don't want to put on her. I'd rather it be on me.
But
If you guys don't mind it being done at 4:30 in the morning, that's fine.
But the thing is then, if she's still gonna have to review it at the end anyways, like if you've approved it, then she's gonna have to double approve it, and then it doesn't really matter if it's done at the front end.
Well, but that gives you the sense of
Peace of mind.
it's done. I know my listing paperwork is right. At least Brian reviewed it. Is Brian gonna make mistakes? Absolutely.
I will say, I started in the last couple transactions doing, for my own peace of mind, doing what you kind of do is, I know for myself that when I hit notify office for review, I have reviewed it and quadruple checked it and made sure that so that I feel confident that I'm not going to get a notification back saying you missed obviously I do because I'm not perfect, but that's just been my new trigger for myself. Okay, I've notified office for review, so I know that I've already reviewed this.
We were talking about this a month ago
Mhm.
and Victoria messaged me and I was like, hey, I submitted my stuff. And she goes, I don't worry about you. You're always great. Literally an hour later, there were 3 things missing.
Never mind, I retract my statement.
It happens.
Yeah.
We're all human.
Yeah.
So,
And I will
but-
say, so this will kind of lead me into the next part, because I want to be cognizant of, I know you guys probably have stuff you want to do, and I promised my kid Chick-fil-A today, so she's gonna live her best life. A lot of antibiotics. Let's see if it'll pull up. Okay, so one thing I did want to show you, let me just kind of backtrack and we're all good now with adding an offer. We see that little, it was up here where it said add an offer. And again, ping me if you're like, hey, where is that? Or how do I do that again? And I'm really good to, like, I can make videos like to walk you through it and like send you a video if I don't necessarily have that time at the moment to like hop on a call or something, but I can make a quick video to show you. So we can add an offer, which we know then will populate, this checklist or whatever. I don't know why everything disappeared, but oh, there's something I'm gonna look into that, because look at that, terminate.
Oh, I've never seen, do you have your
Let me
pulled
see.
up?
Let's see.
Yeah, tell me if y'all see that.
I'm saying,
It doesn't have that on here.
on yours, on a listing?
On the
Make sure,
offer?
it's are you on a listing that
Oh,
you
what
have?
hap- I don't know.
I
Sorry,
have
something
that.
just happened.
Oh, you do have that?
Yeah,
Sure,
I had it. I've never seen that
Oh, that's a
before.
buyer.
Yeah, go to a listing and see if you have that, because that might answer that question we had. a
Okay,
minute
but
ago.
terminating,
No,
that's
offer.
so you're terminating the listing, you're
Yeah.
not terminating the offer.
Yeah, you're
I don't have it on
terminating
either.
the offer. So that'll leave, so I think that might answer our question.
But it doesn't help on a buyer because my buyer had put three
Three.
contracts in.
That's probably gonna be.
So you'd have to go down here and go to.
We'll have to-
I'd have to delete the whole thing,
On a
Yeah.
but that
buyer.
deletes the listing too.
It does, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to terminate.
She doesn't.
No, that's just on our side.
Okay, well, okay.
That would be an actual neat
That would be a
feature.
good one, a
Because
terminating
if the agent had the ability to terminate an offer,
offer. Okay, I'll add that.
that's a really good feature.
Because I think you guys should be able to do that, because it happens,
Yeah.
like, that's not something that's not uncommon.
It just gets really, confusing.
Mhm.
I was so weak because my kid has a awards thing, but really quick, just two things that we could touch base on and feedback later.
Mhm.
Can we get the seller's disclosure to be able to fill out in that?
Yeah, that would be nice.
It is.
Have you talked
Oh,
to
It
let me
is.
Rechat.
It is in Rechat, but it doesn't,
To
what
make it
happens,
more simple.
it makes, what happens is Rechat doesn't make it required, like all the docs, so
Yeah.
people will literally just skip the whole thing and just go straight to
Right,
90.
you should be using Seller Shield and just upload it.
Okay, I have
She-
had
she's
nothing
like,
but
I-
problems
yeah,
with
I
Seller
use Seller
Shield.
Shield.
I've had nothing but problems with Seller
And
Shield.
that's the thing, is
Really?
like a lot of sellers are like, oh, do I have to pay for it, especially older people, and then it goes to their junk, and she ends up having to send it like 3 times. So if we could just all be in one place.
Yeah, I would want you to fill the sellers.
Yeah,
For sure.
Well, and that's
But it
documented.
would just go to every.
Well, but that's something that we have to pay for.
Oh.
Every time we upload a document to them, they have to digitize it and put it in our folder, and it's like $700.
But it's already in there.
Just tell me what they tell me.
Okay. And then.
Let's work on it.
okay, yeah, I'll
Let's
add it to
ask.
the list.
Let's
And
ask.
I'll make a comment about how it's not, because I have experience out in ITC, I'll send it through Rechat, and then I'm like, people didn't do it. And I do, like, when I'm TCing for someone, I call out the SD and I'm like, hey, just so you know, it's a seller's disclosure, you need to go line by line and fill out to the best of your knowledge. 99% of the time they don't, they just go straight to the signature, and I think it's because all of those other ones,
Or optional.
they're optional. So we can maybe see if there's a better
I
way that they
almost
can.
prefer to pull those docs out and send them separately.
I always
I
do,
do too.
yeah. And I use Seller Shield. I personally have not had any issue other than like sometimes it doesn't go, or you do get an older person. It's like, what do I
And they
pay
just
for?
changed it in the last 2 weeks. They changed Seller Shield where you can actually, when you're setting them up as a client, you could select no protection.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah.
And that takes that function out. But I've got a worded text that I send all my sellers. Hey, I'm about to send you Seller Shield. They're going to try to get you to buy something. Don't buy
Same thing.
anything.
I had
Here's the
one.
version you're going to do. Huh?
Share that.
Sure.
And then you need to post on Slack, like your pricing and everything, so that it explains exactly what you do
Sure.
when there's a scene,
Mhm.
so everybody knows.
Yeah.
And everybody knows what you're not.
The problem is. DocuSign is.
I know that.
Yeah. And then, so if you are wanting to add anything to the transaction, like let's just say you have an mandatory clause and you want to put that in for compliance. So down here at the bottom, there's a little button called add. And you can choose. You can add a form from a library, and that's where all of the Trek docs, the TAR docs, anything from 6th Avenue, that's our library. Or you can just add a new folder. A new section is basically going to populate something like this, like an entire section. Does that make
That's what I
sense?
meant, new section, not new folder.
Okay.
I don't know how to do that.
So
I don't
you-
think I have that.
so you-
capability.
I think you should, because I had it,
Is this on a listing or?
It should be on both.
yeah.
Any transaction.
That's how I add like the different people that have offered or different people.
Sure. So
Well,
like,
Holly,
Okay,
would you
well.
send me, like, if you feel comfortable, like a screenshot, like whenever no rush or anything, just a screenshot of what your folder looks like,
Oh,
just so
yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say like Holly was talking about, hey, you've got offer from John Smith and now you have an offer from I don't know, Taylor Swift. Because I always do.
Well, that's
There you go. So then you would add a new section and you can just
Okay.
say, offer number 2, and you can name this, guys. Like, so if you were
That's
like,
what
hey,
you do.
I want to make it, like use this one. You can do whatever you want. That's not going to offend me, or ignore this one, pay attention to this one. So then you can create your new section. And then from there, let's go back. Where did it go? Is it at the top? Oh, no, right here at the bottom. The only problem is when you create a new section, it's not going to auto-populate a checklist for you. So this is where then you have to click add again, and then now you're going to go in and add your different folders. Okay, so like, you could just put, contract, and it doesn't have to be the way that they're officially named. You can just do it however you want it. Okay, so if you just want to say contract, use it, whatever you want to put, you can put that. And as long as I see, I'm not looking to pay attention to what you title it, for example. Like I'm not gonna be like, well, she didn't put 1 to 4. I'm just looking, it's a contract, this is what you told me you wanted me to review, it's signed, it's executed, we're good to go, I'm going to approve it. So I wouldn't worry too much about the nitty-gritty of how you kind of work within the system. It's really your preference.
So then, so if it doesn't give you the checklist and you say, contract, right?
Mhm.
So I'm just trying to get it in my brain. You
Yeah.
say contract, you upload 1 to 4, third party,
All the,
links for everything.
go to the top section where it's already there and just get that list.
Right, but
sometimes pull it down.
But then I just foresee that there could be items missed because it's not going to create a checklist,
Sure.
which then I'm going to think, oh, I'm good. And you're going to go, you're missing these 2 things because
Right.
there's nothing required.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
I just see that
now,
being a-
and now what I have learned in just me playing with it, and I feel comfortable in doing this unless Brian or Jimmy tells me otherwise, I can technically, like, so when I review, and let's say that you forgot, like sometimes there's stuff that doesn't auto-populate. Let's just say something like this, and you uploaded, but let's say you forgot your earnest money receipt. What I figured I have the capability, I can actually go in and add that folder for you and mark it as required. So like, let's say you've asked me to review your file and I've reviewed it and I'm like, okay, Patty's got everything. She's just missing that earnest money. What I can do now is I can go in, populate that folder, mark it as required. And then when I send you that email and Slack message, that's going to auto-populate. And when you go back in that file, you're going to see it.
I think you did that recently for me. And I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And then
So-
it's red and I
And
can
it
see
is.
it.
And I
Okay.
think, that's not, because I don't, like I said, my goal, I'm never going to go into your transaction and meddle. I'm not like, literally, that's why I try to tell people, because I don't ever want you guys to be like, oh, I think she deleted that, or why did she mess with that, or what? I don't. I literally, if you mark it for review, I will review it. If it is not marked for review, I'm not touching it. I'm not even going in there because I'm like, hey, that's your business. You may not want me to look at that for whatever reason, so I'm respectful of that. Now, me adding a folder doesn't impede or mess up anything. It just kind of is another checkpoint for you. So I sent it to you via email, I sent it to you via Slack, and now when you log into your transaction and Rechat, you're going to see, oh, hey, why is that red? I thought I had that, or oh, that makes sense. She mentioned, messaged me that we needed that.
Yeah.
So that's probably like a new thing that you will start seeing. If you are missing something, you'll start seeing things pop up in your file that if it wasn't already there, if that makes sense.
I love
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
So let's say on this last one, I got the entire executed contract back from title,
Mhm.
and title sent everything, and it had on the receipt page, they had, receipted earnest option and the contract.
Mhm.
If I uploaded all of that under, the 1 to 4 family,
Mhm.
but I didn't pull that out and put it under the
Earnest money.
earnest
earnest
money,
Uh-huh.
is that a requirement for that to come out, or are you reviewing that within that and then just?
It's a catch-22. I don't mind it. We do have the functionality where you could split it because it is pretty easy and it just makes it a little easier for me because I'm just going right down a list. I will say this, most of the time, like I will scroll, and sometimes I'm not gonna lie, like if I'm like, knee deep and we've got, like 1 week, I think we had like 17 closings, I'm looking at the contract and I'm like, okay. And I scroll to page 11, right? And I'm like, okay, everything's signed, it's executed, check, we're going. And so sometimes I just forget to, keep scrolling. It's not necessarily, I will do it because there are sometimes I'm like, well, why does this person not have a third party? Why do they not have an earnest? Why? So then I'll go back and be like, oh, it's all in one file. It's not, I wouldn't call it best practice. It would be great if we could just see it, because it's just easily, because then what I have to do, y'all, after I approve everything, I have to put everything into a Google Drive. So then if I go and put it in a Google Drive, and let's just say we're audited and they're like, hey, where is this earnest money for 123 Main Street? Nobody's going to remember, well, was it locked up in, because I've had someone send me literally probably 75 pages because, they had contracts, they had a mandatory clauses, they had FHA stuff. And that would, if we were to be audited, someone's going to have to scroll through 75 pages to try and find the earnest money. So it would be better practice if you could remember to separate them out, but if it doesn't, I try to.
Fill
That's
the
it.
holes.
Yeah.
That's best practice.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's double, even if
Yeah.
you leave it on the
Yeah,
full,
if you leave it, I don't care if you leave
That's
it.
what I am.
don't
That's
care
what
what
I
it's,
am.
if it's in the contract and it's at the bottom, just take that one page out and stick it in the earnest money hole there.
Yeah.
That way we know where it is and we can, it's a check off. It's simple, it's simple for you, it's not hard for you, and it makes it easier.
Yeah. And that's how our brain works anyway.
Okay, you want to finish
Yeah,
up?
I'll finish up. So then here's how you create a folder. You could create a folder, like I said, if you needed to upload at that moment and you were ready, you have that option. It's up to you, but I'll just create a folder. The last thing that I do want to show you guys is, for example, when I say in my email and my Slack message, I say, hey, see notes in the Rechat. What I mean, and I apologize because I've never really paid attention, I didn't realize that there is something called notes. I don't mean there, so I'll try to change my phrase. What I actually mean is this message office. So, you've submitted this for review. I'll decline it and I'll say, missing initials, page 1, and I'll leave that comment for you. And so that's what I mean when I say notes, but I'll change my phrasing on that so it doesn't confuse anyone that's like, oh, hey, what? I'm looking in notes and there's no notes. I mean here. So this is kind of like our little, call it AOL instant messenger. This is where I'm going to communicate to you on each document about, hey, here's what's happening. Now, the caveat is if you respond back to me, but you don't click notify office, there's no notification for me. Now, my best practice and my workflow is if you have submitted a file for review, it's on my checklist now that I'm going back into that file at least 3 times a day until I have everything I need. The nice thing is when I go into the file, there would be a little red, I will see that there's a notification here for me. It'll show me inside the file that someone has messaged me. It just won't show me, won't email me and say, hey, Danielle emailed you on 123 Main Street, or Danielle responded to you on 123 Main Street. I don't get that. But it is my workflow that every day until the file is compliant that I am checking it if you have already submitted your CDA request. So that's kind of how that feature works. So I use that to communicate with you guys. I'm pretty good at Slack. I won't lie to you. My child sometimes does take my phone, and she has deleted meetings off of my husband's calendar. And they're like, Frank, you didn't show up for meetings. Like, I'd have it on my calendar. She's really smart, too smart. But so just bear with me sometimes, or if you're like, hey, why didn't she respond? It's been like a day, because I usually try to respond same day. It might be late sometimes, but I try to get back to you that day. If I don't respond same day, feel free to ping me again, because there is a good chance my child looked at the notification.
So I have just one more question.
Yes.
When we have multiple amendments within a file,
Yes.
I've been uploading them and then naming them because, it could be extend option, change HOA resale certificate.
Please.
Yes.
I want to have that. Is there a faster way to rename that amendment?
A faster way?
Than to just select amendment and not be able to retitle that amendment?
Oh,
Like,
gotcha.
you can rename them.
You could rename them right here. So like if you wanted to like right here, you should be able
Yeah.
to.
Okay, didn't know. I was just,
It's only on the ones you upload. You can
Yeah.
change
Yeah.
the
So you'd
name.
have, yes. So on this, you can't change the name of the folder.
Okay.
I don't believe.
No,
Okay.
but when you do, like, if you had uploaded it,
Right.
then you have the ability to.
Yeah. So like, for example, where I uploaded here, let's just pretend this was an amendment. You could rename it
okay,
right there.
perfect,
Yeah. So you can
I've
rename
been
it
doing it
within
over right.
Rechat.
Perfect, thank you.
And so that's kind of at a high level, kind of like a little bit of the quirks, the ins and outs, the intricacies. It gives you a little bit of backsight into what I'm doing and kind of how I review. On that note, any other questions? Is there something I didn't answer? Is there something you're like, hey, I really would love to know
Anybody online?
how to do this, that, or the
You can pop
other?
on if you want to pop on.
Can you just clarify so that, I guess, so that we all know how your workflow goes? Like if you've got 15 CDAs to review, you're going off of the close date
Yes,
that is listed in here.
typically, yes. So what I try, and thank you for bringing that up, actually. That's helpful because I will say, and it's okay. I mean, it is what it is. I know not everybody puts in the critical dates, but it is really helpful if you do, because this does help me in my workflow, because otherwise, if some people don't use it though, most people do, but sometimes it doesn't happen. And so there will be a CDA request, and I wish I had one, but everyone right now looks like they're rocking and rolling. There will be sometimes that people don't put these dates in. And so what I'll have to do, I'll see that they have a CDA request. So what I do is I go and I peek at that CDA request. I notate the date on my end just to be like, hey, okay, it's not closing for 3 weeks. Now I can work it into my workflow because, Danielle's got one closing next week and this one's not closing for 3 weeks. So let me balance that because what I do try to do is I try to be respectful, for example, of those of you who are getting stuff in on time. I always want to get to that so that it's not getting back to you 2 days before you close. It's getting back to you at least within, hey, you've got a week, 5 days before closing so that we can work through this and get this compliant. So I am trying to always, it's a very fine balance. I want everyone to be paid on time, but I also want to be respectful of if I've got 5 files that came in 2 days before, but all 3 of you got everything in 7 days prior, I'm going to kind of manage that so that you have enough time to get your stuff back and redone because you submitted on time. So it's a fine balance, and it's kind of like an art a little bit of trying to keep everybody happy and to keep everybody ebbing and flowing. So if you guys will just kind of bear with me on that, I try to do
that Timber Fall, I just changed it on my side and it changed in her thing. So when you put a closing date in there,
It prioritizes.
it prioritizes it for her.
Oh, and those are the ones that the CDAs have been submitted.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's her CDA's one. Those are the ones that she needs to take care
I was
of.
like, where's the
Mine's
other one?
closing
I was
in
like,
2
oh,
days.
gosh, I haven't.
Well, but this is to the point that we're saying is that if you and I hold our stuff until 1 week before in our closing, we just jump the shark of everybody else who has had it in. So this is what we talked about early on. I mean, when I first started, I was like, wait, hold on. 10 days or 7 days, if we're ready to go, can we get the CDA, get it off your plate, and then we move on?
And I try to go, like I said, every day. I mean, I'm in this system every single day. I am working. I mean, Brian can attest because I have to send him your CDs to do the final approval. And I mean, there's some days I'll send him 6 in one day.
And I'm drunk as hell. When I'm not saying no.
That's pretty good.
I mean, certainly I don't think we have to go this extreme, but like at EXP, your documents, it didn't make amendment, listing agreement, it did not matter. Your documents were to be uploaded within 48 hours or you were out of compliance, and you put yourself on the line not to be paid on time because you didn't do it. And they would, every once in a while you get a ding where it'd be like, these dates.
We tried our best to make sure that you all were paid on time.
No. I mean, I'm just saying, like, as far as I think that's like self accountability for agents to be like,
Yeah, we're all big boys and girls.
Yeah, but to play devil's advocate, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, where I was like, why hasn't my CDA been approved? Well, because it was sitting in there and I forgot to hit notify. And so it's like, it's not always, that we didn't do our thing. It just, the system failed us for something. You know what I mean? Like, user error.
It's also one of those, like, if you're sitting there and you're like, why hasn't my CDA been approved? And then, just be like, hey, I have this file closing. And I was just wondering, I'm not going to take offense to it. And it'll be quick for me to be like, well, actually, I don't see it here on my screen. And it'll tell you, like, oh, shoot, that happens.
And I always do. Like, I always.
Jen, you have a question?
Yeah, so like DR Horton, they're the ones, they want it like 30 days in advance. And they said, and they've sent me like 2 reminders. So that's why I submitted that one so early. Otherwise, I normally am about the 7 days, but they're I guess I've never closed to DR Horton, but they are sticklers on getting it on time or they will delay your payment.
Force it, but they do definitely request them early. They've never
Like delayed.
they've never delayed or anything like that for me. I've always just been like, hey.
Always reply back.
Yeah.
My office will send you a CDA 3 to 5 days in
Right,
advance.
yeah.
Closing.
They have it in both.
But
Don't
they've
worry about
never penalized me for it.
Okay.
I'd love to see what happens.
What?
That you get penalized for
Oh,
bringing a
and
buyer.
I'd be like,
You're
girl,
like,
Any questions? Anybody else? Let's all thank Victoria for her time today. It's been good joy us and for going through this with us. We all want to make sure.
sorry,
I'm out of here. Soap opera music.
Yeah, we're getting lots of hearts and claps. Victoria and I really, she and I talk probably more to each other than we do our spouses. We have a constant thread that is going in Slack at all times. And if she doesn't respond on Slack, I'll text her. And so, because I know she's out doing something and she's not on Slack, She does the same thing to me. We're fine. But we try to do this the best we can for you guys. We want you to be happy with the system that we do. We've got notes for Rechat now that we will reach out to them. So we'll see if we can work some of these kinks out, but just know that we are constantly working for you guys.
So you should send out a Slack every once in a while, be like, hey, if everybody could just hop on the
Yes.
chat and do a
Angry.
mad emoji, that, like, if you need something, we could do mad emoji.
There you go. Okay, well, we'll do that.
But thank you all for joining us today. I'm gonna call the meeting good and I'll stop the recording. But thank you all for joining us online and we will see you next week. Please come in person next week. Howland Homes is bringing food. Thank you.
I'll be in Mexico. But bye.
Good luck there, girl. That's, I hope you have fun.
You're welcome, of course.
Thank you for keeping us ordered.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
No,
No, that's okay. Thank you so much.
I thought it was all this crap.
Oh, y'all are good. Y'all are good. Yeah, I'm just trying to get to the front of the line, y'all.